Across the globe, the Earth holds silent puzzles carved into stone, buried beneath deserts, and hidden in jungles. These are the sites that defy explanation, creations of skill and vision far beyond their time. From monoliths aligned to the stars to carvings no one can translate, each mystery challenges science and fuels wonder. Tonight, we explore 10 of the most baffling archaeological enigmas the modern world cannot solve. In 1901, sponge divers, working off the island of Antikythera, Greece, discovered the remains of a Roman-era shipwreck. Amid statues, amphorae and corroded bronze, they found fragments of an intricate device, unlike anything else from the ancient world. Over years of study, scholars realized these pieces formed a complex astronomical calculator, now known as the Antikythera mechanism. Built more than 2,000 years ago, it could track the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, predict eclipses, and possibly schedule athletic events like the ancient Olympics. The concept of such mechanical precision in that era stunned historians. No other known device from antiquity even comes close in sophistication. The find suggested a level of technological advancement far ahead of its time, one that did not reappear in human history until medieval clockmaking. From the moment of its discovery, the mechanism has remained a puzzle, both brilliant and deeply mysterious. What makes the Antikythera mechanism extraordinary is the skill required to construct it. The surviving fragments reveal dozens of finely cut bronze gears, some with teeth so small they seem impossible to craft without precision tools. The ancient Greeks were known for their advances in mathematics and astronomy, yet nothing else like this has ever been recovered. It appears to be a unique creation, as if someone had condensed the knowledge of an entire scientific tradition into one compact instrument. Historians believe it may have been built in the 1st or 2nd century BCE, perhaps by artisans connected to the school of Archimedes or other Hellenistic scholars. But who commissioned it? Was it designed for a wealthy patron, a navigational aid for mariners, or a teaching tool for philosophers? Its sophistication forces us to reconsider the limits of ancient engineering and to wonder how much knowledge has been lost to time. Modern imaging techniques have transformed our understanding of the mechanism. X-ray tomography has revealed hidden inscriptions and the full arrangement of its internal gearing. These studies suggest it modeled the known universe with incredible accuracy, using a series of rotating dials to track astronomical cycles. The device was housed in a wooden case, with instructions carved into its panels. It could predict lunar phases, solar eclipses, and even irregularities in the moon's orbit. Centuries before such phenomena were well understood in Europe again, that level of precision implies not only advanced craftsmanship, but also access to generations of accumulated astronomical observations. This raises an unsettling question. If such knowledge existed, why do we see no other surviving examples? Was the Antikythera mechanism an isolated marvel, or part of a wider but now vanished tradition of technological mastery? Without further finds, it remains an isolated beacon in the dark seas of history. The craftsmanship behind the mechanism is matched by the mystery of its purpose. Some scholars argue it was a practical tool, helping navigators chart the seas by predicting celestial positions. Others believe it served a ceremonial role, reinforcing religious or political power through precise astronomical alignments. The ancient world often tied cosmic cycles to human events, and the mechanism's functions could have reinforced such connections. It's also possible it was used for education, allowing scholars to demonstrate the movements of heavenly bodies. Whatever its role, it required an extraordinary investment of resources and skill. The sourcing of bronze, the fine gear cutting, and the precision assembly suggest workshops capable of producing work far beyond what we thought possible for the time. That such ability could emerge and then disappear without a trace makes the mechanism one of the most haunting relics in all of archaeology. Replicas of the Antikythera mechanism, built by modern researchers, have confirmed its extraordinary accuracy. These reconstructions reveal just how elegantly the gears translate astronomical data into visual cycles. Yet even with modern tools, recreating it is a challenge, underscoring the genius of its makers. The original fragments, now preserved in the National Archaeological Museum of Athens, are fragile but still bear faint inscriptions, cryptic labels, and instructions for its use. Some suggest these notes point to Rhodes as a possible place of origin, a hub of ancient learning and craftsmanship. But that only deepens the puzzle. If the knowledge existed there, why did it vanish? Was it lost in war, hidden deliberately, or simply too rare to survive the centuries? The mechanism reminds us that history is not a steady march forward, but a fragile web of discoveries, each one vulnerable to being forgotten. The Antikythera mechanism remains unsolved, not because we can't understand how it works, but because we can't explain its context. It is a single artifact, pulled from a shipwreck with no surviving equals, like a page torn from a lost encyclopedia. Without similar devices, we cannot know whether it was one of many or an isolated masterpiece. How did its creator achieve such mechanical precision? Was it the vision of a singular genius, or the culmination of a sophisticated tradition erased from history by war, disaster, or neglect? Until another is found, if one ever is, the mechanism will remain both a triumph and a tragedy. Proof that the ancient world was capable of wonders we still struggle to comprehend, and a reminder that even the brightest sparks of human ingenuity can be swallowed by the darkness of time. Carved into the rolling chalk hills of Oxfordshire, England, the Uffington White Horse is a massive geoglyph stretching more than 350 feet. Viewed from the ground, its elongated, stylized form is hard to decipher, but from the air it appears unmistakably equine, a white figure seemingly galloping across the hillside. Radiocarbon dating suggests it is over 3,000 years old, placing its origins in the late Bronze Age or early Iron Age. Its clean, minimalist lines stand in striking contrast to more detailed ancient art, leading some to see it as an abstract or symbolic representation rather than a literal depiction. The horse has been meticulously maintained over the centuries, with local communities scouring the figure to keep its chalk outline bright. Yet for all its beauty, its meaning remains a puzzle. Was it a tribal emblem, a religious symbol, or a territorial marker meant to be seen from far away? The horse's design is unlike any other ancient artwork in Britain. Its long, thin body and exaggerated limbs resemble prehistoric styles seen in pottery and metalwork, suggesting it could be tied to early Celtic symbolism. Horses held deep significance in Iron Age culture, representing status, warfare, and divine favor. Some theories link the Uffington figure to the Celtic goddess Epona, protector of horses and fertility. Others suggest it marked sacred land or a route of ceremonial importance. Its placement is equally intriguing. Positioned on a steep slope where it is invisible from directly below, but highly visible from across the valley. This suggests it was intended to be viewed from a distance, perhaps as a display of power or identity. Over time, myths have attached themselves to it, from associations with King Alfred to tales of dragons, but none provide definitive answers. The horse endures as a living yet unsolved landmark. Archaeologists have uncovered little in the way of direct evidence to explain the white horse's creation. The figure is cut deep into the chalk, with trenches periodically refilled to maintain its crisp outline. This process has kept it remarkably intact for millennia. Despite exposure to weather and erosion, the effort required to preserve it suggests it has always been valued, even if its original meaning faded. Nearby hill forts such as Uffington Castle hint at the area's significance in prehistoric times. The horse might have been part of a wider ceremonial landscape, linking settlements, ritual sites, and burial grounds. Without inscriptions or artifacts, however, interpretation relies on context and comparison. Its enduring mystery lies in that absence, a striking image without a written explanation, leaving modern researchers to speculate. Whether it was a declaration of ownership, a spiritual emblem, or an artistic flourish, it continues to spark imagination thousands of years later. Legends surrounding the Uffington White Horse have flourished for centuries. One tale claims it commemorates a victory by King Alfred the Great, though the figure predates him by well over 1,000 years. Others tell of a dragon slain nearby, its body forming the adjacent Dragon Hill, where grass allegedly refuses to grow. Some link it to Arthurian lore, casting the horse as a steed of mythical heroes. These stories, while colourful, are almost certainly later inventions, attempts to retrofit the geoglyph into known historical frameworks. Yet they demonstrate how the horse has remained culturally relevant long after its origin was forgotten. Modern festivals and local traditions still honour it, blending history and myth. The persistence of these stories mirrors the physical endurance of the figure itself, a design that resists both erosion and obscurity, standing as one of Britain's most iconic and enduring prehistoric enigmas. The horse's visibility from above adds another layer of intrigue. In its earliest days, only those who climbed surrounding hills, or perhaps viewed it from elevated wooden structures, could have appreciated its full form. Some researchers believe this implies a cosmological or ritual purpose, perhaps aligning with celestial events. From certain vantage points, the horse faces the rising sun during midsummer, suggesting possible seasonal significance. Others propose it acted as a boundary marker, visible for miles, and asserting the presence of a powerful tribe. The precision of its lines, especially given the lack of aerial perspectives in prehistory, speaks to a mastery of large-scale design and measurement. Whether achieved through careful ground planning or instinctive artistry, the result is both simple and breathtaking. That its true purpose remains hidden only deepens its allure, inviting each generation to search for meaning in its timeless, chalk-white outline. Today, the Uffington White Horse is protected as a scheduled monument and part of a UNESCO World Heritage Landscape. Visitors can walk along the surrounding paths, tracing the contours of the hillside and glimpsing the figure from different angles. While drones and photography now make its shape instantly clear, standing before it in person evokes a different sensation, a connection to those who first cut its lines into the earth. It is a reminder that some messages from the past were never meant to be read in words, but in form, place, and enduring presence. The horse has outlived empires, weathered centuries of change, and resisted definitive explanation. In its stark simplicity, it continues to embody the essence of mystery, a beautiful, enduring question carved into the land, inviting all without offering an answer. On the Isle of Lewis in Scotland's Outer Hebrides, a ring of tall, weathered stones rises from the peat, the standing stones of Callanish, arranged in a cruciform pattern with a central stone circle. The site consists of nearly 50 megaliths, some over 15 feet tall. They were erected around 5,000 years ago, older than Stonehenge, and yet their purpose remains elusive. From a distance, they stand like ancient sentinels, their rough surfaces etched by centuries of wind and rain. Archaeologists have noted astronomical alignments, particularly with the midsummer sunrise and lunar cycles, suggesting a role in tracking time or marking celestial events. Yet the exact rituals conducted here remain unknown. The combination of scale, symmetry, and location hints at deep spiritual significance, possibly serving as a ceremonial center for a prehistoric community whose beliefs and stories have long since vanished into the mists of time. Excavations around Callanish have revealed traces of ancient activity, pottery fragments, hearths, and evidence of burials. These finds suggest that the site was used for both ceremonial gatherings and funerary rites, perhaps blending astronomical observation with rituals honoring the dead. The alignment of stones with lunar standstills, rare events in an 18.6-year cycle, points to advanced knowledge of the moon's motion, indicating that its builders were skilled skywatchers. Yet the effort required to transport and erect these massive stones across uneven, boggy ground is as mysterious as the meaning behind their arrangement. Some researchers believe Callanish served as a kind of prehistoric observatory. Others see it as a place of initiation or seasonal celebration. What is certain is that it commanded respect. Standing among the stones today, one senses an intentional design, a geometry that feels both mathematical and deeply symbolic, as if woven into the fabric of the land. The environment surrounding Callanish adds to its enigmatic aura. Located on a natural plateau, with sweeping views of mountains and water, the stones command the horizon. On certain days, the sun rises or sets in direct alignment with the stones and distant peaks, creating striking visual effects. One of the most famous is the Sleeping Beauty illusion, where the midwinter moon appears to skim the silhouette of nearby hills before rising into the sky. Such moments may have held spiritual or agricultural significance, marking planting and harvest times. Folklore, however, offers a different story, that the stones were once giants turned to stone for refusing to convert to Christianity. These myths, while impossible to verify, show how later cultures sought to explain the site's existence. Whether grounded in astronomy, spirituality, or myth-making, Callanish remains a monument to human ingenuity and the enduring pull of the cosmos. The sheer labor involved in constructing Callanish raises questions about the society that built it. Each stone was quarried, shaped, and transported without the benefit of wheels or metal tools, likely requiring coordinated teams over years. The placement is precise, not just in the circle, but in the avenues radiating outward, forming a cross-shaped layout. This deliberate design suggests a central plan, perhaps overseen by leaders or spiritual specialists. The effort implies that Callanish was not an isolated work, but part of a larger cultural network sharing architectural ideas and cosmological knowledge. Its enduring presence speaks to the resilience of the builder's vision. Even after the site was eventually abandoned and buried under peat for centuries, its rediscovery in the 19th century reawakened interest and speculation. Standing at its center today, you can almost imagine the rhythmic beat of drums and the low chant of voices echoing across the stones. Modern archaeological surveys have mapped out over a dozen other stone circles in the surrounding area, suggesting that Callanish was part of a broader ceremonial landscape. Pathways and alignments may have linked these sites into a network of sacred places, each serving a specific role in the community's spiritual life. The repetition of certain patterns across the landscape points to shared cultural practices, but the uniqueness of Callanish, with its cruciform plan and towering central stone, hints at special significance. Perhaps it was a gathering point for multiple clans, a place where alliances were formed and stories exchanged under the watch of the stars. Today, it continues to inspire gatherings, from solstice celebrations to quiet pilgrimages. Its stones, silent yet commanding, remain an open invitation to ponder the beliefs of those who shaped the land with such precision and purpose thousands of years ago. The mystery of Callanish is not just in its age or its alignments, but in its persistence. For millennia, it has stood against Atlantic winds and shifting skies, a constant in a landscape of change. Science can map its structure and date its stones, but it cannot resurrect the thoughts and emotions of its builders. Were they awed by the same celestial events we marvel at today? Did they feel a connection between the movements of the heavens and the rhythm of their own lives? These questions linger, unanswered yet deeply human. Callanish is both a relic and a living site, where past and present meet in the play of light and shadow. It is a reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be fully solved. Their value lies in the wonder they inspire, a wonder as enduring as the stones themselves. In the Supi Valley of coastal Peru lies Caral, one of the oldest known cities in the Americas, dating back nearly 5,000 years. Its sprawling complex includes 6 large pyramids, sunken circular plazas, and residential areas, all built without pottery, metal tools, or written language. The largest pyramid rises almost 60 feet, constructed from cut stone and filled with rubble, its flat top possibly serving as a platform for ceremonies. Unlike later cities, Carroll shows no signs of defensive walls or warfare, suggesting it flourished through trade and cultural exchange rather than conquest. Its layout reflects careful urban planning, with buildings oriented toward cardinal points and public spaces arranged to encourage gatherings. The scale and sophistication of Carroll challenge assumptions about the timeline of urban development in the Americas, revealing that complex societies were thriving in South America, while much of the world was still in the early stages of organized civilization. Carroll's builders demonstrated remarkable ingenuity, despite lacking many tools we consider essential. They wove reed baskets to carry stones, engineered ventilation systems for underground structures, and created irrigation channels to support agriculture in the arid valley. Evidence suggests they cultivated cotton for fishing nets, fueling trade with coastal communities. This economic base allowed them to focus on monumental architecture and cultural life. One of the most intriguing finds is a set of quipu, knotted strings believed to be a proto-writing or record-keeping system. If confirmed, it would indicate a sophisticated means of managing resources and social organization. Archaeologists also discovered flutes made from condor and pelican bones, hinting at the importance of music in ceremonial life. Yet, despite decades of research, Carroll's belief system remains a mystery. Without written records, we must interpret its culture through architecture, artifacts, and the enduring imprint it left on the landscape. The absence of fortifications at Carroll is unusual for a city of its scale, suggesting it existed in a period of relative peace or under a unifying cultural influence. This has led some researchers to view Carroll as a possible cradle of civilization for the Andean region, influencing later cultures such as the Inca. The city's sunken plazas may have served as gathering places for rituals, debates, or performances, fostering a sense of communal identity. The pyramids, though smaller than those of Egypt, embody a similar architectural ambition, transforming the landscape into a symbolic expression of power and spirituality. Seasonal festivals, marked by astronomical alignments, may have reinforced the city's cohesion. The fact that Carroll was abandoned after several centuries, possibly due to climate change or shifting trade routes, underscores how even the most advanced societies are vulnerable to environmental and economic pressures beyond their control. Carroll's location in the Soup Valley provided both challenges and advantages. While the arid climate limited farming, it preserved the site remarkably well, allowing modern archaeologists to study structures that still hold their form after thousands of years. Its proximity to both the coast and inland trade routes positioned it as a hub for exchange. Marine goods such as dried fish and shell ornaments flowed in from the shore, while inland communities contributed crops, fibers, and stone. This network sustained Carroll's population and funded its monumental building projects. The city's scale implies a centralized authority capable of mobilizing labor for construction and maintenance. Yet the lack of evidence for military enforcement raises questions about how such authority was maintained. Perhaps religious or economic incentives bound the community together, a system where collective prosperity was linked to participation in shared cultural and ceremonial activities. Among Carroll's most fascinating mysteries is its apparent prioritization of cultural life over warfare. In many ancient societies, resources poured into defenses and armies. Here they were invested in art, ceremony, and infrastructure. Musical instruments, decorative textiles, and elaborate plazas speak of a people deeply engaged with beauty and expression. The quipu, if indeed used for record keeping, could have tracked harvests, trade exchanges, or ceremonial schedules. Such organization suggests that Carroll's leaders held power not through force, but through coordination, belief, and mutual benefit. Its influence may have radiated far beyond the Soup Valley, shaping cultural developments along the Andean coast. That such a sophisticated city emerged without the hallmarks of later empires reminds us that complexity takes many forms, not all dependent on conquest, but sometimes on shared vision and collective effort. Today, Caral stands in stark contrast to the bustling cities of modern Peru. Its pyramids and plazas lie silent under the desert sun, their outlines visible against a landscape that has changed little since their construction. Visitors walking its paths can see the same horizon the ancient inhabitants once watched, perhaps waiting for celestial events or the return of distant trading parties. The absence of written records ensures that Caral will always hold unanswered questions about the meaning of its rituals, the structure of its society, and the reasons for its decline. Yet this very absence fuels its allure. Caral is not just an archaeological site. It is a reminder that civilization is as much about shared meaning as it is about material achievement. Its stones speak of a people who built for the sake of culture, connection, and a vision whose echoes still reach us across millennia. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, lies a submerged stone formation that has baffled divers and scientists for decades. The structure features massive terraces, straight walls, and sharp-edged steps, resembling a sunken city or ceremonial complex. Discovered in the 1980s, it sits about 80 feet below the surface, suggesting it has been underwater for thousands of years. Some argue it's a natural geological formation shaped by currents and erosion, while others believe it was crafted by human hands before rising seas swallowed it. The monument's largest platform stretches over 150 meters long, with angular corners and flat surfaces that seem too precise for random natural processes. Strong currents and shifting light give the site an eerie beauty, as if it's frozen mid-story. Whether the Yonaguni monument is a product of nature or an ancient civilization, its mystery remains one of the most compelling enigmas beneath the waves. Supporters of the human-made theory point to features resembling staircases, pillars, and carved pathways. They argue that the symmetry and right angles seen in many sections are unlikely to have formed entirely by natural erosion. Some divers report seeing possible petroglyphs and arrangements suggesting plazas or courtyards. If these interpretations are correct, the monument could be over 10,000 years old, dating back to a time when sea levels were much lower and the area was dry land. This would challenge conventional timelines of advanced architecture in the region. Critics counter that similar patterns occur in sedimentary rock through fracturing and erosion, and no definitive artifacts have been recovered to prove human activity. The debate continues, with each dive offering new photographs, measurements, and speculative interpretations. The site's combination of beauty, scale, and ambiguity makes it a magnet for both serious researchers and those drawn to the allure of ancient mysteries. Exploring the Yonaguni monument is not for the faint-hearted. The waters are known for strong currents, sudden swells, and limited visibility, requiring divers to be skilled and cautious. Those who brave the conditions often describe an overwhelming sense of scale when they first approach the massive steps and walls rising from the seafloor. The structures seem to emerge from the dark, like the remains of a forgotten world. Some divers report a disorienting feeling, as if they are navigating the ruins of a lost city. Underwater photography has captured remarkable images of the site, but the absence of definitive artifacts leaves its origins unresolved. Geological studies suggest the rock is primarily sandstone, easily fractured into straight lines. Still, the patterns at Yonaguni appear unusually organized, fueling speculation. The tension between scientific explanation and imaginative possibility is what keeps the monument at the center of global archaeological debate. If the Yonaguni monument is indeed man-made, its creators would have faced monumental engineering challenges. The massive platforms and terraces would have required precise planning, heavy labor, and tools capable of shaping stone on a grand scale. Such a feat implies a society with organizational skills far beyond what is currently recognized for the time. Its position, overlooking what would have been a coastal plain, may have held strategic or ceremonial significance. Some researchers imagine it as a gathering place for rituals, markets, or governance. Others speculate about astronomical alignments, noting certain features that may correspond with solstices or equinoxes. Without artifacts, however, these theories remain speculative. If nature formed Yonaguni, then it is an extraordinary case of geology creating forms that so closely mimic human architecture. In either case, the monument stands as a testament to the thin line between nature's artistry and humanity's ancient ambition. The controversy surrounding Yonaguni reflects a broader challenge in archaeology: the interpretation of incomplete evidence. Without artifacts or inscriptions, conclusions rest on visual patterns, measurements, and comparative analysis. Similar debates exist over other sites, like the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, or underwater features off India's coast. For Yonaguni, definitive answers may never come, as excavation is difficult in deep water and preservation is a priority. The Japanese government has not classified the monument as a protected heritage site, leaving research largely to private divers and independent scholars. This has resulted in uneven data collection and competing narratives. Meanwhile, tourism has grown, with dive operators offering trips to the site. For visitors, the draw is not in resolving the mystery, but in experiencing it, descending through shifting blue water to stand on the edge of something vast, ancient, and unknown. What makes the Yonaguni monument so enduring as a mystery is how it blurs the boundaries between natural wonder and possible human achievement. It forces us to confront the gaps in our understanding of history, especially in regions where rising seas have hidden vast tracts of the past. If it is man-made, it would rewrite chapters of human civilization in East Asia, pushing back the timeline of complex architecture. If natural, it would still be among the most striking geological formations in the world. Either way, Yonaguni captures the imagination precisely because it resists easy categorization. In its silent, submerged state, it invites each observer to bring their own interpretation, a collaboration between stone, sea, and mind. And perhaps that is its greatest secret: the power to keep us wondering, suspended between evidence and possibility, for generations to come. High in the Bolivian Altiplano, stretching across the dry plains near Mount Sajama, lies one of the world's largest and least understood geoglyph networks, the Sajama Lines. These straight paths, etched into the earth, span an area of over 22,000 square kilometers. Some lines stretch for more than 12 miles without deviation, cutting across hills, valleys, and streams. Their precision is astonishing, especially given they were created without modern surveying tools. No single central point exists. Instead, the lines radiate in different directions, forming an intricate web visible only from the air. Unlike the famous Nazca lines in Peru, the Sajama lines are less known and rarely visited, hidden in one of the most remote regions on Earth. Who made them, and why, remains a mystery. Were they sacred pathways, ancient roadways, or ritual markings meant to connect points of cultural importance? The answers are as vast as the lines themselves. Archaeologists believe the Sajama lines could be thousands of years old, created by scraping away the dark surface layer of soil to reveal lighter earth beneath. The sheer scale of the network suggests it took generations to complete, possibly involving coordinated work by multiple communities. Some lines intersect ancient villages, burial towers, and ceremonial sites, hinting at a spiritual or ritual function. Others appear to lead toward mountain peaks, considered sacred in Andean cosmology. This has led some researchers to suggest the lines may have served as pilgrimage routes or pathways for religious processions. Yet, no definitive artifacts or records explain their purpose. Unlike roads, they show no signs of sustained travel or wear. The high-altitude environment has preserved them remarkably well, and their remoteness has shielded them from significant modern disturbance. Still, their creators remain as anonymous as their true meaning, leaving only the lines as silent testimony. The geography of the Sajama lines adds another layer to their enigma. They are not confined to flat terrain. Instead, they cross slopes and uneven ground with unwavering precision. This implies advanced surveying skills or, at the very least, a deep commitment to maintaining perfectly straight paths despite natural obstacles. Satellite imagery reveals that some lines converge at clusters of ancient structures, while others seem to head into empty wilderness. Theories abound. Perhaps they marked seasonal migration routes, astronomical alignments, or symbolic connections between communities and sacred landscapes. One challenge in studying the lines is their sheer number. Over 16,000 have been documented, making comprehensive fieldwork difficult. Researchers have used aerial photography, GPS mapping, and drones to catalogue their extent, but interpretation remains speculative. Each new study expands our understanding of their scale, yet the purpose behind their creation still escapes definitive explanation. For the indigenous Aymara and Quechua peoples, the Sajama region has long been imbued with spiritual meaning. Mountains are seen as living beings, guardians of the land, and possible destinations for the lines. Some elders suggest the paths may have been made to honor or communicate with these peaks. Others believe they connected important water sources, linking the practical with the ceremonial. The effort to create such lines would have required enormous cooperation, persistence, and knowledge of the landscape. Yet, without written records, researchers must rely on oral histories and the physical evidence etched into the earth. The result is a story pieced together from fragments, part archaeology, part ethnography, part geology. The line's enduring straightness, despite centuries of wind and erosion, hints at both the builder's skill and the dry, stable climate that has preserved their work so well. Despite their obscurity compared to other geoglyph sites, the Sajama lines are gaining attention among archaeologists and cultural preservationists. Climate change, mining, and road construction pose increasing threats to the fragile surface. Unlike carved stone monuments, these lines are vulnerable to even minor disturbances, making their protection a priority. Some projects aim to document them in high resolution before damage becomes irreversible. In recent years, interest has grown among tourists seeking remote and unusual destinations, though the area's isolation ensures visitors remain few. Those who make the journey often describe an overwhelming sense of scale, a feeling of being dwarfed not by mountains or ruins, but by lines stretching beyond the horizon. Standing at ground level, they are subtle from above, they are monumental. It's this duality that makes the Sajama lines both elusive and awe-inspiring, a mystery that hides in plain sight. What keeps the Sajama lines so mysterious is their refusal to yield a single, tidy explanation. They could be ceremonial, astronomical, territorial, or something entirely beyond modern categories. Their sheer size suggests they were a unifying project for the people who lived here, perhaps meant to connect the human world with the spiritual and cosmic realms. In the absence of artifacts or inscriptions, the lines speak through their form and persistence. They endure as scars on the land, deliberate, precise, and vast, hinting at a worldview where landscape and culture were inseparably intertwined. Whether they are pathways for the living, offerings to the gods, or messages written to the sky, the Sajama lines remain one of archaeology's great unsolved puzzles. In the thin air of Bolivia's high plains, they continue to stretch toward the horizon, drawing the curious into their silent and ancient geometry. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, beneath turquoise waters, lies a massive stone formation that has stirred decades of debate. The so-called Yonaguni Monument consists of broad terraces, sharp-edged steps, and towering vertical walls rising from the seabed. Some claim it is the remains of an ancient city, submerged thousands of years ago when sea levels rose. Others argue it is a natural formation, sculpted by underwater currents and fracturing rock. Its largest platform measures over 150 meters long, with striking right angles and geometric features rarely found in nature. Divers exploring the site often describe the sensation of swimming through an underwater temple, complete with corridors, plazas, and pyramid-like structures, yet without definitive evidence of human modification, such as tool marks or carvings. The monument sits in an archaeological grey zone. Is it the work of ancient hands or the artistry of geology itself? The monument was first brought to global attention in the mid-1980s, when a local diver discovered its unusual geometry. Subsequent explorations revealed multiple levels, narrow passageways, and what some interpret as staircases. Proponents of the human-made theory point to features like flat platforms, sharp corners, and apparent alignments, suggesting intentional design. They argue it could be the ruins of a lost civilization, predating known Japanese history, perhaps linked to legends of Mu, a supposed sunken continent. Skeptics counter that sandstone naturally fractures into straight lines and blocks under pressure, and ocean erosion can create shapes eerily similar to man-made structures. The lack of artifacts or inscriptions fuels the debate. What is undeniable is the site's allure, whether ancient city or natural wonder. Its scale and mystery have made it a magnet for divers, researchers and storytellers eager to solve, or at least explore, its enigma. One of the monument's most discussed features is a massive triangular formation that some claim resembles a ceremonial platform or altar. Nearby, flat expanses appear like courtyards, while vertical drops resemble walls or moats. Supporters of the man-made theory believe such elements hint at a planned complex, perhaps serving religious, political, or communal purposes. Geological analysis, however, often points toward natural bedding planes and jointing patterns in the rock, which break cleanly when stressed. Still, even geologists admit the symmetry is unusual. The site sits in a seismically active region, meaning earthquakes and tectonic shifts may have shaped it dramatically. Adding to the intrigue, some local myths speak of ancient lands swallowed by the sea, though oral traditions are difficult to date. The Yonaguni monument, whether natural or human-altered, bridges the realms of science, legend, and imagination, a puzzle visible in the dappled light of the ocean floor. Diving at Yonaguni is not for the inexperienced. Strong currents and variable visibility make exploration challenging, yet the payoff is remarkable. Schools of fish drift past towering walls, and sunlight filters through gaps to illuminate massive stone steps. Researchers have mapped the structure extensively, noting its orientation and dimensions. Some suspect the monument may align with celestial events, though evidence is speculative. Without organic material to carbon date, determining its age is nearly impossible. If man-made, it would require rethinking early human capabilities in the region, as it would predate most known complex architecture in East Asia. If natural, it still stands as a breathtaking testament to the artistry of geological forces. Either way, the site continues to inspire hypotheses, ranging from plausible to fantastical, ensuring the debate endures both on land and beneath the waves. Theories about Yonaguni range far beyond mainstream archaeology. Some fringe researchers suggest it could be a remnant of a global civilization existing before the end of the last ice age, its knowledge lost in rising seas. Others propose it served as an ancient port or fortress, later claimed by the ocean. These ideas often lean heavily on the monument's supposed resemblance to known human structures, but without physical evidence, they remain speculative. Critics warn against letting mystery overshadow measurable data, noting that nature often creates formations just as awe-inspiring as human work. Still, the emotional impact of the monument is undeniable. Divers often speak of a strange stillness beneath the surface, as though the site carries an unspoken memory. Whether city or stone, Yonaguni invites both science and storytelling, each trying to shape a narrative from an incomplete and submerged chapter. In the end, the Yonaguni monument's greatest mystery may be its ability to exist comfortably between explanations. It doesn't need to be definitively labeled to command fascination. Its terraces, walls, and platforms, whether carved by human hands or ocean currents, have become part of a shared human story about loss, resilience, and the unknowable depths of time. As the ocean preserves its sharp lines and sweeping plains, the monument resists easy classification, forcing us to confront the limits of interpretation. For now, it remains a paradox, an ancient city without proof of citizens, or a natural masterpiece mistaken for architecture. Either way, Yonaguni stands as a reminder that not every question has an answer, and not every mystery needs to be solved to inspire wonder. Beneath the waves, it waits, still and silent, keeping its secrets from the modern world. High above the city of Cusco, Peru, stands the fortress-like complex of Sacsayhuaman, its massive stone walls an enduring riddle. Constructed with blocks weighing up to 200 tons, the walls fit together so precisely that even a sheet of paper cannot slip between them. No mortar was used, yet the structure has survived centuries of earthquakes and weathering. The scale of engineering is astonishing, especially given that the builders had no steel tools or wheeled transport. How they quarried, shaped, and transported such enormous stones across rugged terrain remains a subject of debate. Some archaeologists credit advanced Inca stone masonry techniques, perfected over generations, while others believe the site's origins predate the Inca themselves. Legends tell of divine or otherworldly assistance, adding to the mystery. Whatever its age, Sacsayhuaman stands as both a feat of engineering and a silent testament to human ingenuity, and perhaps lost knowledge. The walls of Sacsayhuaman are arranged in a zigzag pattern, a design believed to represent the teeth of a puma, a sacred animal in Andean culture. Each stone is uniquely shaped, fitting into its neighbors with uncanny precision. Modern engineers struggle to explain how such perfect joins were achieved without advanced measuring tools. Some suggest the stones were laboriously shaped through trial and error, using smaller rocks to grind surfaces smooth. Transporting them would have required thousands of workers, intricate coordination, and possibly wooden rollers or ramps. Yet no definitive evidence of such tools has been found. The site's purpose is equally debated: fortress, ceremonial center, or royal retreat. The combination of artistry, symbolism, and scale has led many to believe Sacsayhuaman was more than functional. It was an expression of cultural and possibly spiritual identity, deeply embedded in the worldview of its creators. Excavations at Sacsayhuaman have revealed remnants of towers, plazas, and water channels, suggesting the site was once part of a larger ceremonial and administrative complex. From its vantage point, it offers sweeping views of Cusco, reinforcing the idea that it served both practical and symbolic roles. Some researchers argue the zigzag walls could have been designed to deflect or absorb seismic energy, a feature that has indeed allowed them to endure countless earthquakes. This earthquake resistance remains one of the most impressive aspects of Inca architecture. Local legends claim the stones were moved into place through a combination of human effort and divine intervention, with some myths describing the stones walking to their positions. Whether rooted in fact or metaphor, these stories highlight the awe the site inspires. Even today, standing before these colossal walls, one feels both the weight of history and the depth of unanswered questions. One of the enduring mysteries is how such massive stones were lifted and fitted so perfectly without chipping or cracking. Experimental archaeology has attempted to replicate Inca techniques using ropes, levers, and manpower, with limited success. The effort required suggests a highly organized labor force, supported by a robust economy and political system capable of mobilizing resources on an enormous scale. Some fringe theories suggest the use of lost technologies, or even the softening of stone through unknown processes, ideas dismissed by mainstream scholars, but persistent in popular imagination. The precision of the joins with their complex interlocking shapes seems almost excessive for simple defense. This has led to speculation that the walls had ceremonial or astronomical functions, aligning with certain solar events. Without written records from the builders, the walls remain as much an enigma today as they were to the first Spanish chroniclers who saw them. The craftsmanship of Sacsayhuaman extends beyond the walls themselves. Pathways, terraces, and hidden channels hint at a site designed for more than military defense. Some of these features appear to direct water flow, suggesting that water may have played a ceremonial role. The three-tiered zigzag design of the walls mirrors other sacred Inca concepts, tied to the underworld, earthly life, and the heavens. In this way, the fortress could have been a physical embodiment of their cosmology. The ability to integrate such massive engineering with symbolic meaning speaks to a sophistication often underestimated in pre-Columbian cultures. While most archaeologists attribute the site to the Inca of the 15th century, some argue its origins may go back further, to cultures whose skills and histories have been largely erased. The silence of the stones leaves ample room for both scientific inquiry and the allure of mystery. Today, Sacsayhuaman is both a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a focal point for cultural festivals in Cusco, blending ancient tradition with modern celebration. During the Inti Raymi festival, thousands gather to honor the Inca sun god, filling the fortress with color, music, and ritual, a living connection to its past. Despite centuries of study, the central questions remain. How exactly were the stones cut, transported, and assembled with such precision? And why invest so much effort into a design of such complexity? Standing before the towering walls, one is struck by the realization that these are not mere ruins. They are deliberate, enduring statements of power, skill, and belief. Whether built solely by the Inca or upon foundations laid by an earlier, forgotten culture, Sacsayhuaman challenges our understanding of ancient capabilities, leaving us with more questions than answers, and that is its greatest gift. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, lies a submerged structure that has sparked decades of debate. Discovered by a local diver in 1986, the Yonaguni Monument features massive stone terraces, sharp edges, and seemingly deliberate steps. Some researchers believe it is the remnant of an ancient city, swallowed by rising seas thousands of years ago. Others argue it's a natural formation, the result of tectonic activity and erosion shaping the bedrock into geometric forms. The monument's flat plains, right angles, and tiered platforms make it look undeniably man-made. Yet no artifacts have been found to confirm this. Strong currents and limited visibility make underwater exploration challenging, leaving many questions unanswered. Whether it's the work of ancient hands or the artistry of nature, the Yonaguni Monument continues to lure divers, scientists, and mystery seekers from around the world to witness its silent submerged enigma firsthand. Supporters of the man-made theory point to the monument's striking symmetry, precise angles, and stair-like features as evidence of deliberate shaping. Some even claim to see carvings resembling animals or symbols etched into the rock, though erosion makes these hard to verify. Geological surveys show the structure is composed of sandstone, which naturally fractures into straight lines, fueling arguments that it could be entirely natural. However, the monument's scale, over 150 meters long and rising 25 meters from the seafloor, is difficult to ignore. If it is a relic of human construction, it could date back to a time when sea levels were significantly lower, potentially linking it to a lost coastal civilization. This possibility aligns with ancient Japanese myths of submerged kingdoms, adding a cultural layer to the mystery. The lack of consensus among experts ensures the debate will continue for years to come. Diving at Yonaguni reveals a labyrinth of terraces, columns, and flat platforms, some resembling roads or plazas. Certain sections appear to have been carved into staircases, while others form sharp, angular corridors. The most famous feature, the main terrace, has steps that seem proportioned for human use, furthering the case for artificial origin. Yet skeptics argue that underwater currents, earthquakes, and the natural fracturing of sandstone could create similar features over millennia. Adding to the intrigue, some divers report seeing large stone blocks detached from the main structure, as if once part of an above-water complex. Still, no tools, pottery, or structural supports have been found, leaving the site archaeologically barren. Without tangible cultural artifacts, scientists remain cautious in their conclusions. The monument's greatest power may be in its ability to evoke wonder, compelling observers to question the boundaries between nature's geometry and human design. One of the challenges in studying the Yonaguni monument is the hazardous environment. The site lies in an area prone to strong currents, sudden weather changes, and limited underwater visibility. This makes thorough mapping and excavation difficult, leaving researchers with only partial data. Marine biologists note that the structure now serves as an artificial reef, teeming with fish, corals, and marine life, nature reclaiming whatever its origin may be. Proponents of the ancient city theory suggest it could be part of a wider complex, with other submerged features in the region possibly connected. If true, this could point to a sophisticated coastal culture erased by a cataclysm, perhaps linked to post-Ice Age flooding. Yet, without definitive proof, the monument remains in the liminal space between fact and speculation. This very uncertainty fuels its reputation as one of the world's most mysterious underwater sites. The debate over Yonaguni mirrors larger questions about how we interpret ancient history. Human beings have lived along coasts for tens of thousands of years, yet much of that history is now underwater due to rising seas after the last ice age. Could the Yonaguni monument be a rare surviving clue to those lost worlds? Some geologists firmly say no, calling it a natural formation dressed in the illusion of design. Others insist that the sharpness of the cuts, the apparent alignment of features, and the sheer complexity suggest otherwise. Without the discovery of cultural artifacts, the truth remains elusive. Even advanced scanning and 3D modeling have yet to tip the scales definitively. Until then, the monument will remain a tantalizing puzzle, part science, part legend, suspended beneath the waves, waiting for the right evidence or perspective to finally define it. Today, Yonaguni draws divers, researchers, and tourists, eager to see its submerged terraces. It's a place where science, imagination, and myth converge. For some, it is a lost city, proof of an advanced prehistoric culture, erased by time and tide. For others, it is a geological marvel, a reminder that nature's forces can mimic the works of human hands. The monument has become an icon of unresolved history, a reminder that not all questions can be answered neatly. Whether man-made or natural, its presence speaks to the enduring allure of mystery and the deep human desire to uncover our origins. Standing on the shores of Yonaguni, gazing out to the turbulent sea, one can't help but wonder what else lies hidden beneath the waves. Stories untold, civilizations forgotten, and secrets time refuses to release. Beneath the streets of Paola, Malta, lies the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni, a subterranean complex unlike any other in the world. Discovered accidentally in 1902 during construction, this underground structure descends 3 levels deep, carved entirely from limestone. Archaeologists believe it was used as both a sanctuary and a necropolis, holding the remains of over 7,000 individuals. The chambers feature smooth walls, intricate curves, and a level of craftsmanship suggesting advanced planning. One chamber, the Oracle Room, is famed for its extraordinary acoustics. Even a whisper inside resonates through the entire complex. Strange red ochre paintings adorn parts of the walls, among the oldest known prehistoric art in Malta. The Hypogeum's scale and design raise profound questions. How was it constructed without metal tools or modern lighting? And what belief system inspired its creation? The deeper one goes, the more the air feels thick with the weight of millennia. The Hypogeum's architecture suggests a society with both technical skill and spiritual depth. The upper level contains storage and living areas, while the middle level holds the main ceremonial chambers. The lowest level, the most mysterious, plunges into darkness, where narrow passages connect to small, hidden chambers. The oracle room is particularly baffling to acoustics experts. Sounds made there carry and amplify in unusual ways, leading some to suggest it was used for ritual chanting or trance-inducing ceremonies. The red ochre spiral and circular motifs found on certain walls hint at symbolic or cosmic meanings, though their exact purpose is unknown. Excavations revealed not only human bones, but also small figurines, beads and carved stone objects, suggesting a blend of ritual, artistry, and burial practices. The Hypogeum is not just a tomb, it is a glimpse into a culture that saw life, death, and the afterlife as deeply intertwined. Among the Hypogeum's most unsettling finds are elongated skulls, discovered during early excavations and later lost or removed from public display. These skulls have fueled decades of speculation, from genetic anomalies to cultural practices, and in more fringe theories, connections to unknown ancient races. While mainstream archaeologists attribute their shape to natural variation or binding practices, the lack of comprehensive study has left room for mystery. Visitors often describe a strange stillness in the deepest chambers, a sense of being far removed from the surface world. The air is heavy, cool, and carries a faint echo of footsteps long past. The fact that the Hypogeum was carved entirely by hand, in darkness illuminated only by fire or primitive lamps, adds to its enigma. How did its builders navigate and plan such a space without maps, modern tools, or light sources strong enough to pierce the subterranean gloom? The Hypogeum challenges our assumptions about prehistoric Malta. It predates the pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge, yet its construction demonstrates a mastery of space, sound, and symbolism. The sheer labor involved, removing tons of limestone, shaping chambers with precision, and transporting the dead, implies a large, organized workforce and a shared cultural vision. Some researchers theorize that the Hypogeum served as an initiation center, where sound and darkness were used to alter consciousness. Others maintain it was primarily a necropolis, a sacred space for guiding the dead into the afterlife. The absence of contemporary written records leaves only speculation. Modern access is limited to protect the fragile microclimate, and only small groups are allowed inside each day. Those who descend its stairs often leave with more questions than answers, struck by the realization that much of its story remains sealed within its ancient walls. One of the Hypogeum's enduring mysteries is the advanced understanding of acoustics shown in its design. In the oracle room, a sound made at a certain frequency can cause the entire structure to resonate, creating a deep, almost otherworldly vibration. This effect, measured by scientists, would have been profoundly affecting in rituals, possibly inducing trance states in participants. Such knowledge seems out of place for its time, yet it was clearly intentional. Combined with the spiral motifs, symbolic carvings, and deliberate chamber arrangement, the Hypogeum feels like more than a burial site. It is a designed experience. Over 7,000 burials suggest it was central to the community for centuries, perhaps serving multiple roles across generations. Its survival, hidden beneath modern streets, is almost miraculous. To enter is to step into a preserved fragment of a forgotten world, where stone walls still hold the whispers of ancient voices. Today, the Hypogeum is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of Malta's most guarded archaeological treasures. Visitors describe a haunting sense of connection to its unknown builders, an awareness of standing in a place shaped by human hands thousands of years ago. Yet, despite decades of study, no one can say with certainty who first conceived this subterranean labyrinth, or why it was built in such a complex form. Theories will continue to evolve, but the Hypogeum itself remains silent, revealing just enough to fuel our curiosity while keeping its deepest truths concealed. Perhaps that is its greatest legacy, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to endure. As you ascend from its depths back into the light, the memory lingers, There are worlds beneath our feet, carved in darkness, that will never give up all their secrets. Across deserts, oceans, and deep beneath the earth, humanity's past still whispers through unanswered questions. These mysteries defy easy explanation, standing as silent challenges to our understanding of history. Every carved stone, every artifact, every hidden chamber reminds us that we are only temporary visitors in a world shaped by countless hands before ours. Some of their stories we may one day uncover, others will remain forever untold. Until then, they wait.